Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And welcome, Mike. Good to have you here.
Lorraine, thank you very much. And even though you're a Giants fan, we can still have this conversation today.
Absolutely. And what I want to ask you first today is just tell us a little bit about what you do, what your business is, and who you serve.
Yeah. So I've been self-employed since 1998, came from the engineering/software industry, and have been helping business owners, corporate leaders since 1998 with marketing. Have transitioned over the years to different, focus and niche. Today, we are 100% serving business owners, entrepreneurs, and corporate leaders by helping them publish what we call SHOOKs, which stands for Short Helpful Books. So these are about 1 hour read, nonfiction, business-focused books, Lorraine, that are really effective marketing and sales tools for our clients.
I love that. I once met somebody who I think he was a lawyer. He was an attorney, and he wrote a book, and he actually ordered a bunch of them. And whenever he went to go see a new client, he actually gave the book. And I actually wasn't even into writing books or doing books at the time. But what would you say is the top 3 reasons why a business owner should have a book?
Yeah, well, and I believe this from the bottom of my heart. In this day and age, and you and I both know this because you're an agency serving clients, differentiation, appearing to be different than your competitors, smarter, more effective, more in tune, whatever it might be, is critical, right? And most business owners really don't think long about this kind of stuff. So one of the first reasons, Lorraine, is it differentiates you. So chances are, if you're a lawyer in a certain town and you're the only published lawyer in that town, that's very, typical because most people aren't writing books. Another reason is, even in this day and age where it's gotten easier to write a book and publish a book, thanks to Amazon, people still treat authors with a higher level of respect. So you typically will go to a marketing event, you'll see a keynote speaker, he or she typically has a book, they're back in the back signing it later. There's just something different. So if you have 2 equal, let's say a chiropractor 1, chiropractor 2, for example, and one is your traditional chiropractor, the other is a traditional chiropractor, but she's written a couple books about back injury and how to solve back pain, odds are people are going to perceive her in a different, higher light. And then the third thing off the top of my head would be, I'm a marketing guy. And when you're an author that has written a book and published a book that's meant to be a marketing and sales tool, it allows you to market at a higher, more sophisticated level, meaning you can do your marketing differently. Instead of being like all this, typical marketing that whoever, in your niche does, you can promote your book. You can leverage the book as a lead generation tool. So I think those are 3 really smart reasons why every business owner, corporate leader should consider being a book author.
So you're a big fan of the 100-page book. And how have you seen it to be very effective in marketing? What have you seen come out of it?
Yeah, a lot, because we've published over 240 books for clients over the last couple of years. The first thing, Lorraine, is that from the author's perspective, it makes it doable, right? A 100-page book, I wrote a book called The 100-Page Book, but it's about a 1 hour conversation, and it's just enough content to look like a real book. It is a real book, but it's not meant to be the entire encyclopedia. It's focused, about 15,000 words. The traditional average business book is 75 to 100,000 words. So it makes it that much more doable, meaning it can get done. So if you have a book idea and you've been waiting on it because you're like, oh, I don't have a year to write it, or, it's much more doable. So that's really critical in my opinion. It can get out there, start helping people. From the reader's perspective, I mean, as I've gotten older, and I am a voracious reader, you and I were talking about books, our stack of books we have to read. I find it harder and harder to complete a book that I buy, right? They bloat it, they go on, they repeat themselves. And I'm interested, but I can't seem to get through this darn book. Whereas our books, they're about 1 hour reads. So the promise is, hey, I can get on a plane in Philadelphia, fly to Chicago, and by the time I land in Chicago, I'm done that book. And I've gotten the gist that the author wanted me to get. And then more importantly, the author is giving me next steps to take if I'm more interested in what he or she is saying. So it's a win-win. It's a win for the author. It's a win for the reader. And again, very effective strategy. Now,
as a publisher, okay, so you've published a lot of books and stuff. What has changed? Publishing is so different now than like when I was a little girl. Oh, yeah. Now I could put any piece of garbage up on Amazon and somebody will buy it. So maybe run through publishing today and what has changed and what somebody would need to know. Yeah. The very first thing they would need to know if they need to publish a book.
Great question. So here's what they really need to know. There's lots of options, and one of them is going to be right for you. So as I mentioned earlier, my first book was published 2007. It was different even then. So in the last 15 or so years, Amazon has made it much easier. The other online tools, Ingram Spark, there's others out there, Lulu, et cetera, have just made it much easier for the self-published author to get his or her content out there. Now, I agree, there's a lot of crap out there. We're not talking crap books. We're talking real books that are helpful, hence the helpful word in short, helpful books. But I would say for most people, self-publishing or using a hybrid publisher like what we do, which means we work with you in a way that you're still writing the book, you still own, but you own all the rights, et cetera. Those are really good options for 95% of the business owners out there. It's fast, you own the rights, you can move much quicker. There is still obviously the traditional publishing route, which is still very challenging for most people to get a deal, to get a traditional big time publisher to want to, publish your book, promote your book. And the little sneaky insider baseball is even if you do get a book deal, the book marketing, the book promotion still falls on your shoulders. So I have yet to publish through a traditional publisher. I just interviewed a woman yesterday on my podcast where she self-published, and then because of her background, she was a fighter pilot, very cool lady. She's now gotten a real book deal for a business book, and that is very cool for a lot of people.
Yeah, it really is. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here now. We're going to get real. So you're a business owner. What is the best thing you like about being a business owner and being in business for yourself?
Yeah, freedom. I can, no one can see me right now, but I can dress like this. I don't have to shave if I don't want to today. For me, it's freedom. I've always been sort of a don't tell me what to do kind of person. So when I was in corporate America, it was a challenge for me. I'm not a game player, so that was part of the challenge. I didn't like playing the game in corporate. I saw the pathway necessary, and that was not me. So I'd say freedom. And I think the other thing that I like, because I'm a typical entrepreneur, I like to zig and zag. I'm not fixed in a box. Even though all we do today is publish short books, that's not what I was doing necessarily 5 years ago. It might not be what I'm doing 5 years from now. I don't know. I can see what's going on out in the world. I can layer my intended lifestyle over that. How do I want to, I'm now entering that, essentially final chat phase, if you will. I'm of that age. So I just think it's the freedom to do that. Obviously, you're not capped in your money-making opportunities. It's very cool to help people,
I love it. Everybody talks about the glamour of owning a business. My friends think I'm really cool, and I always wear a badge of honor and all that, but it has challenges. And what would you say your number one challenge that you have had in today's world?
I would say it is, probably staying abreast of, leveraging all the tools that are out there for marketing and sales. I'm pretty old school. I'm a direct response marketing kind of guy, a direct marketing kind of guy. So I do a lot of old school stuff. But I think one of my biggest challenges is, I'd say it's probably social media, because that's not my natural inclination. Even though I've got a good following and probably could have a much better following if I was serious about it. I'm an introvert by nature, so social media is a challenge. That's probably my biggest challenge, is really leveraging, because it can be a huge game changer for you. And not even just in the connections you can make, just looking at it that way. So that's probably my biggest challenge.
Yeah. Now, since you're an author and a publisher, what is your favorite business book?
Gosh, well, obviously that changes, right? It depends on what you're looking for at the time, because there's no one book that I would say. Right now, if I had to say one of the most impactful books that I've read, and it wasn't that recent, I still turn back to The One Thing, but I think it's Gary Keller. So, yeah. The One Thing and Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Those are two really good books that I find myself, kind of just thinking about and referring back to.
Yeah, those are two great books. So if somebody resonated with you today, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, my main website is MikeCapuzzi.com. Our book publishing website is Bite-Sized with a D, bitesizedbooks.com. And Lorraine, if it's okay with you, can I share a gift with your listeners?
Absolutely.
I'll show them to you, but I know we're not doing the video, but I have 3 of our short books, The Magic of Working Together, The Magic of Short Books, and The Magic of Gratitude. Those 3 short books, if your listeners would like to read them for free, it's a digital version. If you go to MikeCapuzzi.com/magic, it's a hidden link. They can, let me know you heard me on Lorraine's show and grab those 3 books.
That's awesome. Thank you so much again. And until next week, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram @BizGoneSocial for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.